Year 4. I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Welcome to a spelling, punctuation and grammar lesson. Now I want you to get your pencils and your exercise books out and write down the long date, Tuesday 16th of June 2020, and the LI to explain and use plural and singular possessive S. Well done everyone. And the success criteria is I can explain that an S is added to some nouns when there is more than one of them. I can explain that an apostrophe S is used to show possession of a singular noun. I can use plural S and singular noun possessive apostrophe S in my own sentences, and I can explain the rule for showing possession of a singular noun ending in S. Now if you want, you can pause this section and read through these success criteria again. Excellent. Let's move on. Now over here, we have this woman saying, look at all the cats. And over here, Sam's dog, her daughter is saying, Sam's dog is over there. Now one of these are showing the plural S and another is showing the apostrophe S, which we'll be learning more about. So here, cats is plural for cat, and we can see that it's plural because there's an added S at the end. And over here, Sam's dog is over there. As we can see, there's an apostrophe S over here, which is showing possession. Now let's go through this in more detail, but before we do that, we're going to have our spelling test. So I hope you've all revised your words and practiced them. Let's get started. History. History is my favorite subject. History. Famous. Have you met a famous person before? Famous. Third word, remember. Do you remember the features of a non-chronological report? Remember. Fourth word, special. Yesterday was a very special day for me. Special. Fifth word, rain. Now, this word rain, don't confuse it with the rain that falls from the sky. It's a homophone. So homophones are words that sound the same, but they have different spellings and different meanings. So this rain, if you were unsure as to what it meant, I hope you looked through a dictionary to look for the definition. But it means when a monarch, so when a king or king rules over a period of time. So, reign. William the Conqueror. The reign of William the Conqueror lasted for 21 years. I'm going to go through the words one more time, so make sure that you have everything that you've written it all down and that it's correct. History. Famous, remember, special, and reign. Let's go through the answers now. You can pause this section and check your spellings, and if you didn't get some of them correct, that's fine. You can just write them down a few times and practice it. Excellent. Let's move on. Now these are the spelling words to learn for next week, and if you're unsure what some of them mean, you can always use dictionary to find the definitions. So our words will be possession, possible, ate, wait, and island. Excellent. Let's move on to our lesson. Plural. So plural means when there is more than one, and the plural for many common nouns are formed by adding an S at the end of the word. So for example, we have over here dog. It's singular, that means that there's one dog. And the plural for dog would be dogs. And as you can see, the S is added at the end to indicate that it's plural. Now, can you do the rest for garden and handbag? Pause this section and you can write it down. Excellent, let's go through it. So garden is the singular form, and plural form, it would be gardens. Singular form is handbag, because there is one handbag. And the plural form would be handbags, which indicates that there is more than one handbag. Well done if you got those correct. Now, what do we mean when we say the possessive S? An S can be added to show possession of a singular noun. However, it needs to have an apostrophe in the correct place to make it grammatically correct. Over here we have a sentence, school's new teacher, and we can see that in red is highlighted the apostrophe and the S. Now, what does this mean? It means that the new teacher belongs to the school. So when we say school's new teacher, this is just written in short form, but if you were to write it in the long form, it would be the new teacher belongs to the school. That's what we mean when we say possession. Possession means showing belonging to something, owning something, ownership. So school over here is singular, and when we want to show possession, we add the apostrophe and the S. So it has to be a singular noun. Repeat after me. Singular noun. Your turn. Singular noun. Excellent. So let's go through. Now we went through the singular noun, which were just in the previous slide, dog, garden, handbag, and we wrote down the plurals, dogs, gardens, and handbags. So now we're going to distinguish the difference between the plural and the singular possession so that we don't get confused. So now let's look at the singular first, dogs, dog. And how would you write it as a singular possession? You can write a sentence, the dog's fur. So where I've underlined the apostrophe and the S, the dog's fur is written in short form, and what it means is that the fur belongs to the dog. So over here you have to add the apostrophe and the S. If you just wrote D-O-G-S, if you just plural, it wouldn't make sense because there isn't more than one dog. So you have to distinguish whether this word, this noun, is a plural or if it's singular. It's singular because dog, I'll underline it in another color, blue. Dog is singular, and the apostrophe S, you have to add it to show singular possession. So the fur belongs to the dog. Now let's just quickly go back to the sentence that we were just discussing, the school's new teacher. So as discussed, to form the possession of a singular noun, you have to add an apostrophe followed by the letter S. Now let's go through the next one. We know the singular noun is garden, and we know in plural it's gardens. So now let's distinguish how we would write it as singular possession. What sentence can you come up with? So pause this section and write down a sentence to show possession for garden. Not gardens, only for garden. Excellent. Let's go through the sentence I came up with. The garden's flowers were very pretty. Now you can see where I've underlined the apostrophe and the S where it shows the possession. So this is written in short form, but if you were to write it in long form, what this really means is that the flowers that belong to the garden were pretty, showing possession, showing belonging. Now did you come up with a sentence for handbag? This is the singular noun, and in plurals you would just add an S to indicate that there is more than one handbag. But for singular possession, we're just using the singular form. So the sentence I came up with, the handbag's handles were very big. So the handles which belonged to the handbag were very big. So I didn't say the handles which would belong to the handbags because we're not talking about plural, we're talking about a singular noun. Excellent. Now, can you pause this section and discuss the difference between a plural S and the possessive S? Well done. I hope you discussed that with an adult, or I just hope you just said that out loud as well in your own words. Let's move on. Now, linguists, they're people who study language, have heated arguments over whether to add an additional apostrophe S with possession of a singular noun which ends in S, such as cactus, bus, and James. Views are conflicting, so there are many views about how to show possession when writing such nouns. There is no right answer. The best advice is to choose a rule and stay consistent. So there are many singular nouns that have an S at the end because that's just the word. For example, bus, B-U-S, this S at the end isn't showing that it's plural. It's just this word by default has an S at the end. So when we're showing possession of this singular noun bus, what the linguists have discussions over is whether we add an additional S or not, because it already has an S, so sometimes it could get confusing. Now let's see what they say. So the rule that we can follow is when we have common nouns which end in the letter S, such as lens, cactus, and bus, or proper nouns such as Mr. Jones, Texas, or Christmas, we will write the word as we see it. So for example, most people saying Mr. Hastings' pen would not add an added S. We would just write Mr. Hastings with no added S. So at the end over here, it wouldn't be Hasting's, because remember Hastings already has an S at the end because that's just the name. We wouldn't add apostrophe and an extra S, because that's what we usually do when we show possession. We would just add an apostrophe because we wouldn't say Mr. Hastings again because it would sound a bit funny. But when we say, for example, Miss Borhan, let's write it down over here. Miss Borhan's pen. Let's see. You can write it with me. How would you write that down to show possession? Miss Borhan's pen. Okay, what do you notice over here? Is this correct? No, it's not. Well then, if you notice that. Now, how can you make this correct? How can you show the possession of the singular noun? You would add an apostrophe after the N and before the S to show possession, because there's only one Miss Borhan. There's not many Miss Borhans. So Borhan over here is the singular noun, and you add the apostrophe S to show possession of the pen. So the pen belongs to Miss Borhan. Now over here, for example, Mr. Hastings, we wouldn't add an extra S like we did with my name, because his name already has an S in it, so it would be a bit weird to add an extra S, so we would just add an apostrophe. So for example, most people would pronounce an added S in Jones's, so we'd write it as we say it. Mr. Jones's golf club. So for example, for Mr. Jones's name, his name already ends with an S, but we will still add the apostrophe S because when we pronounce it, we'll say Mr. Jones's. But when you say Mr. Hastings, we don't say Mr. Hastings with another S. It just depends. However you say that person's name, then you can see whether you can decide for yourself whether to add an apostrophe, to add an extra S or not. But you will definitely need to add an apostrophe. Now, what would be the possessive noun of these words? You can pause, cactus, Zeus, and Jess, and write it down. Now, recall that these words already have an S at the end. So think about how you would pronounce it. Well, then if you got those correct. Now, over here, we're going to read out the sentences, and you have to decide which sentences are plural and which are singular possessive. I'll read it out. The cat's food was delicious. The cats enjoyed their food. The NHS doctors are doing an amazing job in the current COVID-19 pandemic. And I lost my pen's lid. Now I want you to take your time and draw out this table in your books and put these sentences in the correct columns. Excellent. Let's go through the answers. So we have over here in the plural section, the cats enjoyed their food. Cats over here, it's plural because it's indicating that there is more than one cat. But over here in the singular possessive column, the cat's food was delicious. Now we know that this is not a plural because this is the singular noun, cat, and then you add an apostrophe and S to indicate the possession. So the cat's food was delicious. So what this means is that the food belonging to the cat, belonging to the one cat, was delicious. Excellent. In the plural section, the NHS doctors are doing an amazing job in the current COVID-19 pandemic. Doctors, the S over here is indicating that there is more than one doctor, so it'll go in the plural column. And in the singular possessive column, I lost my pen's lid. Now, you wouldn't write P-E-N-S because that would, I lost my pen's lid, that would be plural. Over here, there's an apostrophe S, so it means that the lid of my pen was lost, showing possession. Well done if you got those correct. Now you have another go. Look at the singular noun in this column, football, ice cream, swing, scooter. Then write the plural for them, and then a sentence which shows possession of a singular noun. So let's look at the first example. Yeah, football. The plural for football would be footballs. There's an S at the end. And to show singular possessive S, the footballs, bold, black and white colours stood out amongst the green grass. You have football here. It's singular, because that's its criteria, singular noun. And then we add an apostrophe S, which shows possession. So the football's bold, black and white colours stood out amongst the green grass. Now I want you to pause and try the rest yourself, and when you're done you can take a picture and send it over to the year 4 team so that we can see your sentences. Excellent. Just one extra note. So the bold black white colours of the football showing possession of the football stood out amongst the green grass. That would be the sentence in long form. Excellent. Let's move on. Now that we distinguish between plural and singular possessive, let's go through some tasks. So can you identify which sentences are plural and which are singular possessive? Now, a hint would be to look out for the possessive proper noun ending in S. So we have some sentences over here. For example, the first one is, I enjoyed using my friend's scooter. Look at how it's spelt and figure out this friend's over here. is it a plural or is it a singular noun? And you can do the rest yourself. So this is a 1-star activity. 2-star activity, talking about short form and long form. So an apostrophe can be used to help make sentences more succinct. So you have to write in the missing form. So for example, they have an A. The girl's hat is short form with an apostrophe. And if you want to write it in a long form, it would be the hat belonging to the girl. So when we say that an apostrophe helps make sentences more succinct, it means that it helps it make it brief and clearly expressed. So now you have to look at the rest of the short forms over here: the boy's shoes, the park's flowers, the bike's bell, and write it out in long form, just like we did with the girl's hat. So the hat, what does it really mean when there's an apostrophe S? It actually means the hat belonging to the girl. It's showing possession. Now that was a 2-star activity. And 3-star activity is just similar to the 2-star activity. However, some of the sections for the short form are missing, so you have to write down the short form. So they'll give you the long form: the drink belonging to the boy. Now you have to write this out in short form with an apostrophe S, so you have to really think about it. And then we have upper for pen activity. To write a short description of the park on a cold day in autumn, you must include at least 3 examples, let me just underline it, of the plural S, and 3 examples of the singular apostrophe S. So this is where you can use the skills and apply it to this short description. You'll have the picture, you can look at it and remember to use descriptive words, use the adjectives, but in your piece of writing there has to be at least 3 examples of words that are plurals that end with an S, and 3 examples of words that show possession of something. So you'll indicate that with an apostrophe S, so make sure you make that distinction. And all of these activities will be uploaded on our Year 4 online learning platform. And once you've done that, you can email your work over to year4@grange.harrow.sch.uk. Well done, everyone, and make sure you practice your spelling words for our test next week. See you soon.